Before this video starts, I want to emphasize that I am a high volume listener. I listen to IEMs at a ridiculously high volume when compared to other people in the hobby. And on top of that, I listen to mainly hardcore / up-tempo. I will listen to other normal types of pop music to compare different IEMs, but hardcore is definitely my specialty. That's what I like the most. But yeah, let's get started with the review. Hey y'all, Enemy Spider here. Today I'm gonna be talking about the SoftEars Studio 4. This is a loaner set from my good buddy Squiggles. Let's get started with the stock review. If you'd like to read the full stock review and the full upgrade review, I will have it posted in a link through Headfi. For the stock review, I did not use these Pin-On Liqueur Orange tips. I used these KB Ear 08 tips. They were similar to the original stock tips of the Studio 4. And then I used this 3.5 2-pin cable. It's a sterling silver cable from Meyer Audio. You can't really buy it anymore. It's a very old cable. This is what I used for my stock test. I just connected all that to my laptop with no dongle and gave it a listen. So how's the fit? Well, it fits fine. I had no issue with the outside of my ear. I had an issue with the fact that it was not vented. It has no ventilation. I had to balance the seals on my left and right. And then on top of that, I had to make sure that the ear tips did not slide off the nozzle and break the seal. It happened once while I was testing it originally. It was very annoying, very discomforting. It took me a while to perfect the seal, but I was able to do it. It was a learning curve. Is it hard to drive? Yes, I had it at 100 out of 100 on my laptop with normal music. So I have quiet music and I have like normal music. In terms of volume, I was maxing out the power output on my laptop, and I wasn't even getting to the loudness that I liked. General type of sound. This is definitely what I consider a low PINA mid-focused set. The detail retrieval type is smooth. It's rather smooth, and I'd say it has average detail retrieval for the price. This is a $450 IEM. This is presenting the type of detail retrieval that I expect from the price point. Tonality. This is definitely neutral leaning bright. Sometimes it came off as too sharp. ISSS, imaging, soundstage, and separation. So the imaging and separation are both pretty good, but they're a tiny bit congested. Also a little too smooth at times. Soundstage is definitely wide. Even on these small board tips, it was definitely wide. Overall technicality ratings, I gave it a 8 out of 10. I'll put what the scale means on the screen for you, but no, this is definitely a resolving IEM. Definitely a resolving IEM. Rating for driver configuration. So this is an all BA IEM, and it exceeded my expectations. I gave it a 10 out of 10 because it just blew me away with how it presented the sub bass, specifically the sub bass. So preference rating, I gave it a 8 out of 10 as well. This is definitely an IEM that I would use again in this exact configuration with no dongle. It definitely is special. It just needs a little bit more power, but the sub bass on this IEM is incredible. I found it to be very rumble. It rumbled in my ear, and it punched super hard. And you have to remember that I listen to a lot of hardcore music and up-tempo. So the song that I used for testing this IEM is called Slurring by DAC-Amps. It's a up-tempo hardcore song. I'll play a little bit of the song. That should give you a general idea as to what type of music I listen to whenever I do these reviews. But at the same time, I also used another song. I used Bring Me to Life by Everlessence. I used that song to test out dongles and whatnot. Did I enjoy this IEM? Yes, I absolutely enjoyed it. It was wonderful. Absolutely spectacular. So let's move on to the upgrade review. So in the upgrade review, I talked about the ear tips a little bit. I did try the CVJ Spiral Dot Plus Plus. Oh no, these are the CVJ Spiral Dot Pro. I tried these out and they did increase the soundstage even more, but it was too much to the point where everything sounded a bit too airy, and basically it congested things. I really didn't like that. This IEM forced me to learn how to use non-vented IEMs because when I first got it, I didn't know really how to balance seal on my left and right ear. And I also didn't know how to tell if the seal was broken or not, and it really did cause some massive discomfort. Like on the first 2 days of me testing, my left ear was ringing like crazy because I was listening to music with the seal being broken on my right ear. I didn't notice that the ear tip, it pushed itself out, and then the IEM slid the ear tip off the nozzle because it's too smooth. So let me show you what I mean. So this right here, you can see that the nozzle is just super smooth. There's no lip on it. and no ventilation. By the way, I really like the aesthetics of this IEM. All black with the logo just there in silver. I absolutely adore that. That is really nice to me. So let's talk about dongles. You know, DAC-Amps, portable DAC-Amps. I tested a bunch of them. I'll put the list on the screen right here. As you can see, I categorized them between bright leaning, neutral leaning, and warm leaning. So the three in red were the three that I consider to be my favorites, but I wanted to give an honorable mention to the JM28 and the DX1. DX1 is also on loan with me, thanks to Squiggles. The JM28, which I have right here, it's a budget dongle from J Cali. It just presented the Studio 4 in a very resolving way, but at the same time, it was very smooth. Very, very, very smooth. A little bit too smooth for my liking. But then again, it's a $25 dongle. If I was only forced to use a budget dongle, I would definitely use the JM28 because it has that smoothness without sounding too fatiguing. Same thing with the DX1. It's just a more realistic JM28. But then again, preferences come into play. It was too smooth for me. I wanted that sharpness that gave it an extra separation. I wanted that treble bite. That's where we move on to like the KA-17, this thing. This displayed the Studio 4 in a wonderful manner. Everything was super resolving. It was incredibly refined in its sound, and I just loved it. Now, if I wanted a even brighter and sharper listen, I switched over to this thing. This is the Plus 4 by this company, Kung Pai. This is a rather unknown dongle. It's 120 bucks. I'll put the listing up on the screen for you guys. And it definitely gave it that treble bite that I was missing from the KA-17, while also improving the separation a little bit. But it did make the Studio 4 sound a little more unnatural as well. And then the dongle that I found to be warm but also resolving was this is the Alpha XI1, and this definitely did sound a little bit warmer than the rest of them, but it still had that treble bite that I was looking for. Now, to be fair with you, all the dongles sounded rather similar, so as long as you have something that is decent, something like the Moondrop Echo A, or even something like I said, the JM28 from J Cali, the Studio 4 will come off as good to you. The most important thing is the ear tips, because by the end of my listening sessions, I found that the Pinon Liqueur Orange tips were my favorites. They just opened up the soundstage a little bit more while improving the separation and imaging over the KB or KB08 tips, while at the same time they tightened up the soundstage so everything sounded correct because the Spiral Dot Pro just sounded too airy. What changed between stock and between my upgraded? So now the Studio 4 leans bright in tonality with sharp detail retrieval. I found that the Studio 4 presents music how it is, which means that it sounds horrid with poorly mastered songs. I really do not like IEMs that do not have ventilation like the Studio 4, and it's because of the massive pain that it is to perfect the seals and to balance the insertion depths. Overall, I gave this IEM a 9 out of 10. Technicality ratings, it's incredibly resolving. Preference rating still stays at 8 out of 10. Even though I gave it all this gear, I still consider it an 8 out of 10 because it has too much treble bite. I can't really scale it in volume, but no, it was definitely enjoyable. Funny enough, when I was listening to this IEM at higher volumes, I noticed that the bass kind of like collapsed on itself. Talking to my friend about this, he said that it was probably because the BA was distorting because of the volume that I was listening at, so that's kind of funny. But no, this is definitely a great IEM sound-wise. The only issue with it is the fit and comfort, and the fact that it's not ventilated. So, I wanted to do a quick little comparison segment. This is the Tri-Star C, this beautiful IEM. It's absolutely beautiful in person. It's also not ventilated. It has 2 BAs and 1 DD. So, the reason why I wanted to compare, it has a little hole here, but that's only to vent the back of the DD. It's not to vent the front of the IEM, so it still builds up pressure in your ear. The reason why I wanted to compare it against the Studio 4 is because they present the sub bass in a rather similar manner. Because both of them are not vented, you can hear the sub bass more clearly, but the only thing is that the Star C is incredibly unnatural in its presentation and sound. It's very unnatural, and it sounds so sharp. It sounds even sharper than Studio 4, but I enjoy that. I personally enjoy that. I find it to be a very fun and interesting listen. And then we have here the other all BA IEM. The reason why I wanted to compare this against the Studio 4 is because of the comfort. So this is the Meyer Audio SLT6. It has 6 BAs, 6 balanced armatures on each side, and the only difference, well, the only comfort difference is that it's ventilated. As you can see there, there's a vent. Now this vent does ventilate the front and the back of the IEM. So whenever you push this IEM in your ear, it will create a pressure, but then it'll ventilate itself. It'll regulate itself, which is very, very, very comforting. This means that I can basically just use any ear tip because it also has a lip on the nozzle and it'll seal perfectly every time. They're not going for the same thing in terms of sound. Like, I'll put up a squig of both of them, comparing the both of them. They're not going for the same thing. So it's really unfair to compare them, but long story short, the SLT6 is more enjoyable with different genres of music because it's not as picky with songs. I could listen to a poor quality song with the SLT6 and it'll sound more enjoyable than the Studio 4. But whenever I'm listening to my hardcore music, I notice that Studio 4 is more enjoyable because the sub bass hits harder. Now, when you look at the graph, you're like, wait a minute, the SLT6 has more bass quantity than the Studio 4. Why does it have harder hitting bass? I believe it's because the Studio 4 is fully not ventilated, while the SLT6 is partially ventilated. I believe that's literally the only reason why. But yeah, that wraps up this review for the Studio 4. The way I'm going to do my reviews moving forward is I'm just going to talk about the IEM and my experience with it. I'm not going to recommend anything. I'm not going to say that this is probably suited for you or this might work for you, because my listening experiences are so different compared to everyone else's. That's what I've noticed in the hobby. That wraps up this review. Thank you again to Squiggles for lending me the Studio 4. It was an absolutely enjoyable IEM to listen to. I had a blast with it, and the learning curve, the absolute amount of information that I learned from testing it will help me with other IEMs that I get in the future. If you like what you heard or you like my style of reviewing, please leave me a like, drop a comment, follow me for more content in the future, because I will be uploading more reviews for budget IEMs. This is an expensive IEM. This is $450. This is not going to be a common thing. Thank you for watching all the way through. Catch you on the next one.